9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining me today. This is my birthday. In fact, exactly 12 hours ago, I was born. So, gotta love that. 12 hours ago to the moment I was born, and I want to thank my mother for that, to bring me into the world and to be able to enjoy and share my time with great people like yourselves. I thank you. And that's one of the reasons why I'm doing this. I just finished my show on the Exceptional Conservative Network. I hope everyone got a chance to see that. If you didn't, that'll be up on YouTube later today at some point. And I'll talk about that in a minute. But I was on the program, spent my normal 2 hours there from 12 until 2, and I was enjoying it. But I wanted to, it's my birthday. I want to spend more time with everybody and talk with you guys directly. And I want to thank you. That's one of the key things I want to do today is I want to thank you, my true friends, the honest and true people that I know who are, whether you see the show live, whether you see it on tape when it's on YouTube, or you listen to the podcast, you check out my articles, whatever it is, however you support, how you be involved, whether you make donations or you don't, you like, you share. I want to thank you guys. I'm now 51 years old, 12 hours into being 51 years old, and I want to take the opportunity to say thank you. I try and do it every show and every time that I speak, but I want to especially do it today on my special day. Oops, a little louder than I thought. But I wanted to do it especially today, on my special day, to thank everybody out there. You guys make a difference. And I want to make it very specific. Well, I'm going to name a couple of people, but I can't name everybody. I do want to start off, and I thank Ed Hickey. I thank Bob Murphy. I thank Jared D., John Solak, Michael Woodward, Lillian Woodward, Claudia Tenney, Claudia Miller. I want to thank, God, there's so many people that are on the list. You guys make it so, you've made my life richer. And you've helped me so much. And I want to publicly say thank you to all of you. And there are so many others. There are literally hundreds of you out there who have helped me so much. Tina DeBella, Jeff DeBella, Mark, and God, I'm just trying to think of everybody's name and it's all coming together. But I want to thank all you guys because you really make such a big difference in my life. You help me out so much and help me to get to this point 51 years later. And that's important, I think, to say hello, to say thank you for your support, to thank you for your friendship, to thank you for being there for me in the times that I need it. I know that my system's been acting up a little bit, and it's been dropping back and forth, so I apologize if anything in this drops. And again, this will be up on YouTube in case anything does drop. But I also want to take a moment, because I was talking about a lot during the show on the Exceptional Conservative Network, and I was talking a lot about just insights. Being 51 years, looking back in time, looking forward in time, and just trying to figure out, what's going on. And one of the things I wanted to talk about and share with you guys is, I was thinking about this question. What's the most important issue? What's the most dangerous issue that's affecting us all going forward? And I'm looking at that because, 51, you look backwards in time a little bit, you get a little bit introspective, I suppose. And so I'm looking backwards in time as well as looking forwards in time. And I'm saying to myself, what's, at 51, what do I see? What's going on? I mean, we have all these things that are affecting us. We got drugs, the opioid crisis. That's a big deal. It affects everyone, and it's touching all of our lives, especially here in the Northeast. There's the question of the Electoral College and people saying they want to get rid of that and literally disenfranchising the majority of the nation. We have the issue of identity politics and gender politics, where people are being categorized and you don't count unless you're in the right group that happens to be popular today. If you're not the right type of person, that you should apologize for being born, whether it's because you're born of a certain color or a certain gender or a certain preference. We have the question of red flag and gun control here in America, where people are being denied their rights, where we're seeing the Eighth Amendment, cruel and unusual punishment, where people are being punished for without ever committing a crime, without ever doing anything wrong, and they are losing their property, they lose their kids, they're being negatively impacted in their community and amongst their friends. And we have the question of illegal immigration in the nation, where we have individuals who are actively breaking our laws and demanding that they get rewards for it. And we have politicians who are living up to that, that are more than happy to give them these things, and to selectively pick and choose which laws that they want to enforce. We're talking about sanctuary cities and sanctuary states, and politicians like Anthony Brindisi and Nancy Pelosi who are supporting these ideas, and Governor Cuomo. So those are all big issues, big, huge issues that are affecting us all, that's affecting our lives. And I was talking about a bunch of that when I was on the Exceptional Conservative Network, which is on every, just to plug that a little bit, let me be real quick. So that's every Tuesday, every Thursday at 1 p.m. and Saturdays 12 to 2. I'm on there. But the big question is, of all those things, and I was talking about all of that stuff, especially the gender and identity politics, but I was asking myself, what really is the most important thing? What is really the single most important thing that's going to be affecting us? I'm looking backwards in time. I'm looking forwards in time. I'm looking at what's going on today. And in my 51 years of life, what's the thing that I'm afraid of for my friends? What am I afraid of for my supporters? What am I afraid of for your kids, your grandkids? What's going to affect everyone the most? The thing that we need to come together and work on. And I came, and it came to me, and I wanted to get on now and speak with you about it. And quite honestly, it's free speech. And I know a lot of people may be surprised by that. I mean, all the list of things I just mentioned, oh my goodness, Mike. I mean, you're talking about, we need jobs, and we need to rebuild the economy. We have drugs, there's inequality. You have all the people screaming about equity of outcome. We're talking about politics, the 2020 election. I mean, all of these things are out there. Like, how can you say the most important thing is the First Amendment, the ability to speak freely? And quite honestly, that is the start. It's the reason why it's the First Amendment. Because when you lose that, everything else goes away. And I'll tell you from my perspective what I'm saying. See, I was alive in the 70s. And I know those who are younger, some younger fans, someone who might be seeing this, they weren't alive then. It was right after the Civil Rights Act. It's right after we started transitioning the nation and accepting that people aren't categories, that being black isn't a category, it's a person. People, it's a skin color. And people in that have that skin color aren't better or worse than anyone else. No one is. And when we started saying that, and we had that transition in the 70s, I lived through that period where there were people who absolutely believed that some people are better than others because of the color of their skin. Not the character of the person, not the decisions that person makes, the way they live their life. No, it was based on their skin color. And here it is, 50 years later, and we're seeing the same exact thing. We're seeing exactly the same thing, that people are being judged on their skin color. Except this time it's, well, you're white, so you're bad. Or you're a male, and you're bad. Or you're straight, and you're bad. Or you're not as good as a person of color who happens to be a woman and happens to be gay. They're better than you. No, they're not. No, they're not. And when we don't allow people to say, no, that doesn't make someone better, they're exactly the same as anyone else. And if we don't get to say that, things get very dangerous. They get bad. When you can say, when you force people to have to go out there. And I'm talking about like Joe Biden and Beto O'Rourke, who's not a Hispanic. He's, regular guy. He's white. His name is Robert. His name is Robert. So when we have people going out there and they're apologizing for being what they are, what they were born to be, we're in a dangerous place because their speech is being restricted, that they can't be them. They have to be something else. Call it PC politics, call it identity or gender or whatever you want. It's what it is compelled speech. It's the inability to say what you think and be who you are. And if you can't do that, you can't do anything else. Everything else comes out of that. The pain and suffering that people go through to not be, why are people going to drugs? In part because they can't be them. In part. And if people are afraid to open up a business because they can't run the business the way they want to, because they can't have the customers they want to have, then you put pressure on those people. They can't hire people. They can't help people live better lives and grow and develop and innovate. And that puts a pressure, not just on the individual, but on our whole society. And that drives people to escape. They can't deal with the depression, the negativity, the lack of hope that is out there. And then they say, okay, and they look for something, whether it's alcohol or it's drugs or it's opioids. And a lot of people go for it that way. And that's part of the problem. Just because you can't be you can't speak. The freedom of speech is not just being able to say this word or that word. The question of whether someone's going to be offended or not. It's more than that. It's the ability to be you. To be a human being, to be the human being that you are. And after 50 some odd years of my life, I can't say anything but I have to be me. Now, for me, that means that I'm a black Hispanic who's 51 years old, and I happen to be a conservative Republican. Does that mean I can't have any other idea? Of course not. Does that mean that I hate gay people? No, of course not. Not in my family, not in my friends. Of course that doesn't mean that. Does it mean that I think that every single illegal immigrant is evil? No. Although some are bad people. But that doesn't mean they all are. But it does also mean that they broke the law, and there is a law. Does it mean that every person who's on drugs is some evil drug dealer looking to destroy everyone's life? No. Many are troubled people that need help, and I'm happy to help them. But when we start compelling people to categorize everyone in just one little group and say that, well, you have to believe this. You can't say anything else. There is nothing else that you can say because you're this. You're in this box. When we start saying that about people, then we start destroying our country and ourselves as a society, as an individual, as a nation. It gets dangerous. When I was in the 70s, I can remember, and I'll share with you a story. I think it's important. I was in public school, PS 78. Okay, so it's elementary school, first 6 years. And somewhere, I think I was in 4th, 5th grade, something like that. And I remember that there was a girl who sat next to me. She happened to be white. And, she was a friend, classmate, no big deal. And I remember, and I had said something to her. I was at the end of the day of school. We were going home, and I said, hey, go ahead, see you tomorrow, have a good day, something stupid like that. And, her brother, who was older, came over to me and said, you don't do that. I'm like, don't do what? Don't talk to my sister. I'm like, what? Why? Because she's white. You're black. And I was just sitting there going, what? That makes no sense whatsoever. I could not conceive of what that is and what that meant. My family had many friends who were white, and I grew up amongst them and their kids all my life. And here I am in school, and we have people of all kinds of colors in the classroom in the Bronx. What's that mean? We talk in class, we do our lessons, we're all around each other. What's the big deal? See, and that was because and I use that example because he was trying to put me in a category. He was putting me in a box. I'm black. So I couldn't say things and I couldn't do things because I was black. Now, he was ignorant. Absolutely. But that was the environment in the early 70s, early and mid 70s. Today, we have people who are saying, oh, you can't say that. You can't speak for other people. You can't speak to other people because you don't understand, because you're not the right color. You're not the right gender. You're not the right sexual preference. That is the same danger as I remember growing up with in the 70s. And we have moved so far from there. We moved so far away from that mindset in my lifetime. At 51 years, we've gone from that 70s, that backwards kind of thought, and we move forward. 80s, 90s, early 2000s. We got a black president, whether you liked him or not, and I didn't. Doesn't matter. He was there, something that I never thought would happen in my lifetime, and we got it. And here I am today, and I have friends who are openly and happily white, black, Asian, gay, straight, transgender. I know people of every type and from around the world. I grew up as a poor black kid, and it's true, and my mother did an exceptional job. Every one of her children went to college. I'm the only one who didn't graduate. They all own businesses and property, and they're doing well with their lives. She did an exceptional job. And she taught us to be able to deal with everyone, to have relationships and talk to people based on who they are. And it was formative and was important. And today, I see kids who are not willing to do that, that are judging people because they're white, they're black, they're Hispanic, they're different. Honestly, that's what it is. If we use the real words, you're different. So I can't treat you the same. Something is different about you. No, there isn't. I've lived around the world with people of every type. I've lived in Moscow. I've lived here, across on both coasts. We're all the same. There are good people. There are bad people. There are of every color, religion, race, sex, you name it. And we have to be able to say that and say, I reject this idea that I'm some kind of category. Because when you say that someone is just this category, they're just that box, they're not an individual, well, then you start doing things like, well, yeah, you can then say, okay, well, these types of people don't deserve property. They don't get to own, not just a firearm, because if you can take away someone's firearm, you can take away someone's property, you can take away their house, you can take away their car, you can take away anything that they have, because it's the same thought. There is no difference. You can say that person doesn't have rights. And whether or not you intend it to be some form of slavery or not, it eventually will become that. Because if they're not human, if they're not the same, then you can treat them different. And to treat them different, I've never seen it mean treat them better. And we see this, and we've seen this historically. In my lifetime, in Cuba, North Korea, in Moscow, in Russia, it's never been a good thing, and it never will. And I don't care that people say, well, Mike, you just don't understand. It is better. And the answer is, no, it isn't. It's never better. Oh, that's my sister. My sister's calling to wish me a happy birthday. But I want to spend time with you guys, and I'm going to talk to her in just a moment. But it never works out better. And it all comes from us not being able to say, hey, that's not right. When I was in the 70s and growing up, there was segregation. Well, segregation was ending, and we were destroying that because segregation was a bad thing. It was part of a category. Because you're different, you don't get to be around other people. You get to be separated and isolated and ostracized. And that's a bad thing. And I hate that. And guess what? Today we have the same thing, except it's voluntary. It's called safe spaces. It's called non-white areas. How dare you? It's the same racism. It's the same idea. It's the same lack of conversation, the same ability to speak with each other, to share ideas. When we shut down our voices or shut down the voices of other people, even when we don't agree with them, when we shut them down, we're damaging ourselves and everyone else. That's what I've learned in 50 some odd years of my life. Maybe you think I'm wrong. Maybe you disagree. Maybe I just don't get it. I want to hear from you. Tell me. I'm going to spend a little more time with you guys. I'm going to take a quick break because obviously you can hear my tea kettle going. But I want to ask everyone who's listening to this, everyone who's hearing what I'm saying right now, tell me, do you think I'm right? Does that make sense? Is it right for us to shut down people and shut down their voices, shut them down, treat them different just because they're not the right category? Does that make sense to anyone? Does anyone see that being a good thing going forward? I'm being honest. I am asking because I think it's really, really dangerous. And I don't want to see on my birthday or beyond anyone, any of my friends, any of my supporters, anyone that I know and love and trust and believe in to have to be subjugated to being silenced just because they don't hit the right box for someone else. But let me take a quick break. I just want to get this and I'll be right back. So I'm going to put on a quick little thing here and then we'll be right back.
Just to play the game. Some people think that the physical things define what's within. I've been there before, but that life's a bore so full of the superficial.
Oops, sorry about that. So I hope everyone enjoyed that. That was the ever so wonderful Callie Cornwell. She's a great singer, and I enjoy promoting her and any small singer, any local band, and when I do these things. And if you ever have been over at, when I do the show over at the Exceptional Conservative Network, which is on Tuesdays at 1 o'clock, Thursdays at 1 o'clock, and Saturdays 12 to noon until 2 o'clock. That's you'll hear some of the local bands out there, and I do thank them for giving me the right to be able to promote them. More importantly, now what I'm talking about here today is it's my birthday, and I'm sharing my time, my day with you guys, because I think you are wonderful. You make it worthwhile. This is why I do it week after week. I've been doing this for over 5 years, doing a podcast, and I love it. I enjoy it because it's being able to speak with you guys and talking about the different things that we all think about. But today on my birthday, I'm 51 years old. Just a little over 12 hours ago, I was born. And I thank my mother for that. And she's given me so much, and I want to share some of that today. And I'm sharing that with you, especially my concern and my thought about our future together, all of us, all of my friends, my true friends, the honest people out there, supporters, people who are seeing it for the first time, all of you. I'm sharing my thoughts with you and my reflection over the last 51 years. And I'm thinking, going forward, how can we make this better, not only just for all of us, but for our kids and our grandkids? How do we give them the lives we've had, the opportunities that we've had, so that they can have their opportunities and their kids can have those opportunities, and it keeps going forward and forward and forward and makes it better for everyone. And I can tell you, for me, from what I can see, it's being able to speak honestly and openly, to disagree with people, to sometimes be offended, but to have that conversation. Because when we don't have that conversation, then we shut down everything. And everything, it's the first domino, and once that domino falls, everything else falls after it. I forget where I remember this from. I think it was back in college. There is the understanding that speech is thought. Our communication, our ability to speak is just the thought that goes on our head, the thinking that we have. And it's our way of being able to let you see or understand what's happening in our head. All right? My thoughts, the things that I think about, this is me being able to give it to you. And the better I can do that, the better we can communicate and the better we can do anything. And it doesn't get better when we say you can't say things and that you're different. And we say that we shut down people because they have a different idea, or they have a different belief, or that they're not good enough. Because I can't stand it when I hear people say, well, I have to apologize because I'm white. I had this argument with, recently, a few years ago, with a Councilman Conrad Taylor. And he apologized to me in a conversation for being white. And I told him, how dare you? How dare you? And I say this to Robert Beto O'Rourke. I say this to Joe Biden. I say this to anyone. I don't care whether you're a big politician or a little one. Don't you dare do that. Don't you dare apologize for being you. I will never apologize for being black and Hispanic. I will never be apologizing because I grew up poor. I'm not going to apologize for the difficulties in my life right now. The fact that I'm not a perfect person, and no one else should either. I'm happy to be who I am. You should be happy to be who you are. And when we stop letting people say, I'm glad to be what I am, then we start losing everything. And the future starts getting dangerously clouded. It gets dark. And I don't see how we can live well like that. It's bad for everyone. Our kids, our future, individually and as a nation, and any other way you want to look at it, as a community, as a humanity. I don't care if people are white or black or Hispanic, Asian, or whatever else, indigenous peoples, whatever you want to call it. I don't care. They're all people. I've lived enough around the world. We're all the same. We have some of the same problems no matter where we go, under every system you can speak about. Some things are better. Yes, democracy is better. Democratic republics are good. Capitalism works. That's my opinion. You don't have to agree with it. I'm not telling you that you have to believe what I believe. You don't. And that's the great thing about being able to have free speech. You don't have to agree with me. And I understand most people, 99% of the people out there are not going to speak up. People who agree with me right now are not going to say a single word because everyone's afraid of someone saying, well, you're being racist, you're being sexist, you're being ageist, or this-ist, or that-ism. Who cares? I don't care if you say that. And that's why it's important that we do have the free speech, that we do have people who come out and speak about it. And I'm not just talking about me. I don't care if you're on the left, on the right, conservative, libertarian. It doesn't matter where you're coming from. We need people to speak out and say, no, you can't control the way we speak. You can't control us. You can't control the way we think. We all have to be human beings. And that means that sometimes we're going to disagree. And sometimes we're going to disagree a lot. And sometimes we're not going to like each other. And sometimes we're going to not want to be around certain people as individuals or groups. Fine. That's okay. It's called life. Not everyone's going to be your best friend. Not everyone's going to love you forever. Maybe that sounds harsh to a few people, but let's be harsh and let's be honest with each other. Life isn't about everyone loving you. You know, in 51 years of my life, I've come to understand something I think is very important for a lot of people, for a lot of younger people to understand. Not everyone's going to like you, and that's okay. Because if everyone likes you, you're not doing anything. You're not being you. You can't be real, as they say. Be real. Well, guess what? If you're real, not everyone's going to like what you have to say. Not everyone's going to like what you do. Not everyone's going to like who you are. And that's okay. Because people have differences. They have different ways to be. And let's be honest about that. It's okay to be different. It's okay to not agree with every single thing that someone says just because they're on TV, just because they have a show, or they're on the radio, or they got elected. I don't know how many politicians I've known in my life. Well, actually, I've known dozens of politicians at every level of politics. And you know what? They're just people. Some of them are good, some of them are bad, some of them know what they're talking about, some of them don't. The fact that they got elected doesn't instantly make them smart or better or different. They're just people. Celebrities are just people. Some of them are good, some of them are bad. They do good things, they do bad things. Look at Cardi B, look at Bill Cosby. Look at Joe Biden. That just because they're elected or they have a certain preference or something, that doesn't make them better. And just because they're white or black or Hispanic, gay or straight, they're in some, just because someone wants to put them in a box, a category, doesn't make that better or worse. Actually, it makes it worse because you're denying the fact that they could be really great people and you're never going to listen to them, hear them, or see them because they're in a box and someone says that box is bad. How dare you? How dare you say that that box is bad, that this category, these group of people are bad simply because they exist? Is there evil in the world? Absolutely there is. Should we fight against evil? Absolutely. Wherever it may be. I agree with that completely. But I don't believe in saying that every single human being, just because you should apologize and somehow you are lesser because of anything. I had people telling me that when I was in elementary school in the 70s. And if I had believed them, if I thought that I was somehow bad, that I wasn't a good person, that I wasn't worth it, well, guess what? I wouldn't be here right now. And Facebook is acting up here, and it's giving me a problem. So I'm trying to let this screen catch up to us here. Oh, it dropped me. Oh, it's back. Looks like it's back. Facebook dropped me for a second there. And it may drop me again. I don't know. But if in the 70s I had believed everyone who told me that you're not a good person, that somehow you're not worthy because of my skin color, I wouldn't be 51. What? It did it again? Wow. Facebook is really at it. Facebook seemed, the censors on Facebook seem to be really upset with me saying this, which means it's important to say this, even if they want to cut me off, even if Facebook doesn't want this to get out there, that they don't want people to hear me say this. It's really important to say that if I believed the people who said you can't speak because you're black in the 70s, I wouldn't have gotten any of the success that I've had in my life. I wouldn't know all the friends that I know right now in my life. I wouldn't be able to have this conversation or to live the life I've led. And that would be horrendous. Not only for me, but for everyone I know, everyone I've helped, all my friends, for everything that I've worked on, all the nonprofits I work with. It would be terrifying. It would be horrible. Facebook's still at it. Facebook doesn't want me to say this. Facebook keeps cutting me off because they don't want me to have this conversation. I truly believe the censors are messing with the feed right now because it should be going straight through. It's important. If we believe people are categories, if they're boxes, and we stop them from being able to speak, guess what? Then we all lose because everything else gets taken away from there. And we are not able to enrich each other's lives, to improve and help people because we won't hear them. We won't see them. They'll be ostracized and thrown out. I don't know. Maybe this is a unique way to spend your birthday. I know most people wouldn't do that, and I'll let you go in just a few moments. Although I'm very interested in hearing what people have to say, to hear what people think. Hey, Howie, I see you there. Howie Coleman is there too. And I want to hear people leave comments, leave your thoughts. But I think it's absolutely important that we're able to speak, to share our thoughts, to share ourselves with each other, and to be open and honest and talk. 51 years, that's what I've learned. Free speech. We have to be able to talk. We have to be able to share ideas. We have to be able to disagree. We have to be ourselves, not a category. You're not just a white male. You're not just a black female. You're not just gay. You're not just transgender. You're a human being. Some of the things you have to say are good. Some of them are not. Some people will agree. Some people won't. And it's okay. We shouldn't be afraid of being different. And we should never let anyone say that you're less because of it. I've lived through that. I've seen it around the world. I've seen it here in America. And I don't want to see it for the future. No matter how much longer I have on this planet, I've been here for half a century, however much longer I have, I hope for all my friends, my supporters, everyone, that you're able to have the ability to speak freely and be judged and treated according to what you are, not because of some box somebody arbitrarily made because they want to have power over you and your life and treat you differently because of it. I don't care if that's Jussie Smollett. I don't care if that's Joe Biden. I don't care if it's me. That's not. We should never do that. And I don't agree with people who believe. I don't. And maybe you tell me I'm wrong. Maybe you think I'm wrong. Tell me. Share it with me. Send me a text. Send me an email. Call up. Whatever. Let me know. Because I can't learn and be better unless you tell me. So, I've been at this 41 minutes here, minus Facebook dropping me off and cutting me off. Hopefully, this is a message. This is me sharing my birthday with you. And I thank you for taking the time to be here with me for as long as you are, whether you see it live or afterwards, whether you come and join me over at the Exceptional Conservative Network, or you see me down this block, or you see me celebrating my birthday, let me know. Maybe we can make, together, I believe we can make it all better. We can be better. But separated, we never are. Thank you, Howie, sharing it down in South Carolina. And I hope people are able to see this and see the whole thing. And I want to hear this. I want to see what people think about it. That being able to speak is the most important thing. To be able to live our lives together. Because anyone who's selling you the idea, selling you this thought that you're going to get perfection by taking away some essential part of yourself, for not allowing you to be able to speak, or telling you you can only speak a certain way or only about certain things, that's not freedom. That's not living a full life. That's denying you freedom. That's denying you your life. That's denying you opportunity. And it's horrendous. I don't wish that on anyone. But I hope that everyone has been able to enjoy this. If you haven't seen the whole thing, please, it'll be up on Facebook. It'll be out there. I'm going to also include, I'm going to put it up on YouTube so that if you missed anything and Facebook cut off part of the conversation, you'll be able to see the whole thing there. But I've been here for 45 minutes. I did 2 hours before on the Exceptional Conservative Network. My voice is a little raw. I'm a little bit tired. But I want to thank you guys for everything. You mean the world to me. And that's why I want to share my birthday with you guys on these ideas. And I hope that everything is going to be great for you, that you're going to have a great year. You deserve it, and I want you to have it. And with that, I'm going to leave you with a little bit of a musical message, and then I hope everyone will be well.
You tell me you're different. You say you got some things you're working on. Oh, but I never listen. No, was too busy thinking you're the perfect one. It's such a mystery, 'cause usually I'm looking for a reason to stay. But who would have believed that here I be and I just can't look away? Oh, you tried to give me a warning, say watch your step before you fall too hard. You tell me I'm crazy, I say not crazy enough, but I'm crazy for you, crazy, crazy about us. And I know that it's true, baby, it may be too much, but I'm crazy for you, crazy, crazy in love. Can't even thinking you're alone and how you feel. I wanna show you the difference. If you let me, I could show you something real. It's such a mystery, 'cause usually I'm looking for a reason to stay. Oh, yeah. But who would have believed that here I be and I just can't look away? Oh, you tried to give me a warning, say watch your step before you fall too hard. You tell me I'm crazy, I say not crazy enough, but I'm crazy for you, crazy, crazy about us. And I know that it's true, baby, it may be too much, but I'm crazy for you, crazy, crazy in love. giving up on you. Never giving up, never giving up, never giving up, never giving up on you. Never giving up, never giving up, never giving up, never giving up on you. Never giving up, never giving up, never giving up, never giving up